Hey folks, Curtis Stone here. We're back with our video series exploring all the states and provinces in North America and analyzing them through this context of homesteading. Today we're going to look at the great state of Idaho. And a couple things off the top about Idaho that are important. One relevant to today's economy is that Idaho is expensive. You look at real estate in the good areas, which we'll look at. It's very overvalued. You can find homesteads in other states. Let's say you compare kind of similar homesteads that you would find in Idaho to places like Missouri, Arkansas, maybe not Texas, but Michigan, Kentucky. You can literally get 10 times more land for the same price. So keep that in mind. A lot of people want to move to Idaho because of its conservative politics. A lot of preppers are moving there. I find there's a lot of like-minded people in Idaho. I like Idaho. I live fairly close to Idaho in southern BC here. And so I like it. And it's a similar climate to what I'm used to. You're going to see climate zones vary from up high in the mountains. You'll see as low as zone 3. But you can get up to zone 6 and 7 in some parts. But a big chunk of Idaho is really not that nice. And I would say most of southern Idaho, it's really dry. And when you're down in the valleys, it's just all big ag. So you got peri-urban and center pivots, conventional agriculture. You don't want to live in this stuff. It's all dependent on wells, big aquifers that are feeding all of this big ag. And so those aren't very resilient aquifers. And you're surrounded by poisons and chemicals. So you probably don't want to be there. I find the best parts in Idaho are up here in the green zone. Basically, this zone here is the best part of Idaho. But it's also difficult to find property. And so food for thought there. Your no-go zones are pretty much just the big city. And even Coeur d'Alene up here, I might not want to live right in here, but it's not a bad place to be, actually. If you're up around in some of these zones, you might find some pretty cool properties. And there's a lot of amenities in Coeur d'Alene, and you can just go over next door to Washington to go to Spokane, where they don't have. Do they not have state sales tax in Washington? I think that's the deal. And then, because I know a lot of people who've lived in Vancouver, Washington, and then they commute down to Portland to buy stuff, and so they save. They get it. They save because one state doesn't have income tax, and then the other state doesn't have sales tax. So something like that. I forget how it works out, but having that little state diversification isn't so bad. There's a lot of amenities in Spokane. It's actually not that bad of a place. I mean, it's a liberal city when you get in there downtown, but to go in there to get materials isn't so bad. So it's quite nice. A lot of people also live up in the Sandpoint area, getting closer to Canada. Cool town, amenities, like-minded people, stuff like that. So it's nice. It's got a nice diversified climate. You're mostly in a boreal climate up here, and then lower down here, you're in the semi-arid steppe climates, which are not as conducive to homesteading. So let's look at some areas we want to focus on, the good areas, and they're all going to be up in this part up here because it's green. There's water. There's no big ag, or there's very little big ag. You can see down here, right outside of Coeur d'Alene in the peri-urban areas. You got some center pivots in there. You got some conventional agriculture, but there's not a ton of it, and so it just means that there's a lot of interesting areas in and around these townships. Bonners Ferry, getting right up close to Creston, BC. This is a cool area. There's hot springs in these areas. A lot of people here actually just drive up to Canada often because there's all kinds of cool hot springs and stuff just up in BC here. So cool spots there. Let's look at some actual properties. Let's look at 175 acres here up right here. And yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This property has sort of, I guess it has a road coming through it or an easement, but the property is so big that doesn't have to bother you. You can have your homestead kind of tucked away. And like I've said many times in these videos, is that you can do most of everything on your homestead in 5 acres or less. A guy like me, I was showing people how they could farm on a 1/4 acre, right? So you can do a lot with a place like this, and you might have, just like in this situation here, all of your infrastructure here. So sure, you got this road coming through. It's not a deal breaker though, because there's not a ton of traffic on this road coming in. And this actually just might be the private drive. In fact, I think it is, before I speak too soon. Yeah, it is. This isn't a road. This is a private drive. So you got privacy in here. You got 2 ways in and out of your property, which is always a good thing, because Idaho is in Douglas fir, boreal forest, fire country. So having multiple ins and outs on your property is a good thing. And we got mostly standing timber. We got fields. We got a pond. We've got, potential for a turnaround driveway. You kind of can in this, in a way. But you've got all the hallmarks of a really good homestead right here. You got fields that you can use. You got infrastructure, privacy, you name it. You're only at about 765 meters of elevation here at the highest point. Oh no, you got a little bit of topography here. So, oh yeah, we've got a southern aspect on most of the property, which is amazing. And at that topography, or at that elevation, you're probably going to be you might be a zone 6 here, which is quite nice for boreal. It's a fairly mild winter. You get some snow, but not huge amounts of snow. And you'll have a pretty nice shoulder season and a great summer. So that's a nice property. You kind of zooming out. You've got, you're not too far off I-90, but you're not too close for comfort, if you will. So you can get on that highway. You can get into Coeur d'Alene, where you might want to get amenities and stuff like that. But you're tucked away enough that if the proverbial shit ever hits the fan, people aren't coming out here. People always are going to be looking for resources around the highways and the townships. And so you're far enough away where you're going to be safe. You're going to have a bit of a lake effect off the lake here. Not too much, but somewhat. And so, yeah, that's a nice property. Let's look at this other 40 acres here. So we're kind of in is that Sandpoint? Yeah, we're kind of in the Sandpoint region. That's where you'd go down if you wanted to get amenities. We got a nice, some of this was a forestry cut block at one point, and it looks like they didn't log this area, which is kind of cool. If they did, it was planted a long time ago, because these trees are pretty mature. But this is a really nice homestead. This is super ideal. Private drive in. You've actually got other forestry service roads that can get you in and out in different locations, which is great. You've got some garden space. You got multiple outbuildings. This is less of a commercial farming property. This is more of just like an exclusively homesteading property. You got some pens for animals and tons of trees. It's always better to start with more trees than less, because trees take a lifetime to grow and an afternoon to take down. So you've got that advantage. And so 40 acres like this, you could do it all, literally. I don't see a pond on here, but it wouldn't be much to put a pond in here, because if you look at the topography here, I could bet you right here would be a nice pinch point. Yeah, so right here we've got a riparian area, right? So this is, as the snow sheds down, or precipitation or water moves down the hillside, it accumulates here, and then it funnels through. So there actually might, no, sometimes the shade looks like ponds, but a way to find out is if you just go into your time thing here and just scroll back, see different angles of light. No, there isn't a pond there. But if you were to put a pond on this property, it would be somewhere around there, because it would be the easiest place to capture. And maybe even a bit further down, maybe down here might be better. But you've got this is a watershed. This is all just moving, shedding down. We have erosion and deposition. And so we've got, and roads are great for this. Roads are a great way to utilize what's infrastructure that's already there, ditch it, and then move the water to one place. So you could fairly easily put a pond in here. And I like to see that. I like to see on a property, I want to see multiple forms of water. So you might have a drilled well up here. You could put a pit well in here, and you could put a pond, and you could do rainwater catchment off the buildings, because it still is a dry climate. This part of Idaho in general is very dry, and even in the northern region here, it's still fairly dry. It is considered boreal, though. If you go into your Copen-Geiger climate classification, and we do talk about this every now and then. Let me just move this little thing. We might be a D. We're going to be not a DFA. We're probably going to be, here we are. We're going to be DSB, which means that, so this is all DFA, and then we've got we got DFC, DFB, and DFB that's the climate I'm in. In a DFB, you get very dry summers. You're looking at like 15 inches of rain a year annually. The majority of your precipitation is going to come in the form of snow in the winter. But the neat thing about these DSB climates and these DSC climates is that they get more annual precipitation during the growing months, which is really nice, which means that you can set up really effective rainwater catchment. So that's something to consider. That's what's really nice about this region of Idaho is those types of climates. They get more precipitation during the growing season, which is nice. So this property here is an absolute banger. Keep in mind, folks, none of these are actually for sale. We just find properties and just kind of say, hey, hypothetically, this property might look like this. If you want to see us actually do real estate listings, check out the link in the show notes here. It takes you to a little web class that I show you how to use Google Earth a bit more in detail. And if you sign up for that program, you'll also get access to our Homestead Accelerator program. And you'll pay like a monthly fee, but you get access to active listings. We do 10, 20, 30 of these a week all over the United States and Canada of active homestead real estate listings. I do the same thing with stuff that's on the market. We don't have any skin in the game with the real estate transaction, but we just charge for the service. And we've got people moving onto the land every day now. We've done this program we're going on, I think it's over a year now that we've been doing it. And so there's a lot of properties out there. It's got a map. You can look for properties that we've evaluated, and we can help you get on the land quicker. So this one is sweet. This was a forestry cut block at one point. And so the thing you got to be careful with here, but there's also going to be a huge opportunity here, is a massive amount of snow shed on this, which can cause problems, but it looks like this is set up well enough with that road that goes along the bottom of it that you could shed, if it doesn't already naturally do it, shed into this pond. And that's actually what looks like what happens. Because snow melts faster in areas where there's no trees, right? Because it's kind of self-explanatory. There's no trees, there's no shade. So the sun hits it, boom, the snow melts and it moves. And so this is a sweet pond here. This is a banger property. This is an absolute banger. Good infrastructure, lots of it, fields, lots of forests, 160 acres. This is what we call a quarter section up in Canada. All the original property in Canada was divided up into sections and quarter sections. And so sections are 160 times 4, like 600 and something. And this is a quarter section. And so we've got riparian areas, we've got microclimates, we've got a diversity of different types of climates and places that we can put infrastructure. We've got good road infrastructure. This would be easy to manage for snow. Private drive-in, totally private from the road. This is a very secure type homestead. And if you're looking for a large acreage, this is the kind of thing you want to look for. And we've got, look at this. We've got, this almost looks like, no, I wouldn't say it's not market gardening, but it's good homesteading, that's for sure. Lots of fields. You could do a small crop. You could do some kind of annual, perennial crops in here. You could plant in orchards. tons of opportunities, microclimates in these little zones here. It's great. Western aspect here, that's going to be your hot zone along that eastern tree line. In the summer, that's going to be a really hot spot. So you might think, hey, I want to plant peaches up here. You could probably do that at this elevation. This isn't that high. It's lower than I am, but this place really has it all. So yeah, that's a little bit about what you can see in Idaho. And again, I definitely favor this area, but you will pay. 5 acres up in Idaho is going to cost the same as 50 acres down in parts of Missouri, Arkansas, Michigan for sure, parts of Oklahoma. Take it for what it's worth. You might have a reason to stay in this state, and that's why we're doing all the states. It's like I can tell you what my favorite states are, but at the end of the day, you're the one that's got to live there, and so you want to be close to family or the business you started, and so you got a reason to be in any of these states. And so Idaho's a good one. It's a lot of people are moving there, so take that for what it's worth. All right, folks, that's it for this one. If you liked it, smash the like. Let me know in the comments where you want me to go next, or if I missed anything, let me know. All right, we'll see you guys in the next one.